Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial. As a naval historian, I love all sorts of artillery, and today we've got a very special video. The reenactors from B Historical were on board the ship this past Saturday. While they were on board, they did a number of pirate-related demonstrations, including this one on various pirates' small arms and artillery that they allowed us to film. So enjoy.
All right, so what we're going to be doing today is talking to you guys about the guns that were involved in the weapons. So we're going to start with the smallest weapon and move our way up to the largest. What we're going to be displaying is something called flintlocks. Now these are pretty easy to explain why they're called flintlocks, because there happens to be flint in a lock. So the first gun I'm going to show you is a pocket pistol. I bet you can't guess why it's called that.
Does it fit in your pocket?
No, you're wrong. Time out. All right, so this is a pocket pistol. These are very common because pockets in the early 18th century and the end of the 17th century were gigantic. You could fit an entire loaf of bread in here. It's fantastic. Not that I've tried. I've totally tried. So this is a pocket pistol. It is small. It is easy to conceal. It is great if you're going on horseback or maybe into somewhere where you just don't want to say that you're armed necessarily. So if you notice, we have this system right here, this thing. This is called a lock, and this is a flint and pan, and this, I'm going to put it into half cock. Yeah. So this flint will hit this pan. It's going to light up a spark. It's going to light black powder off inside of here and go and fire. So flint lock, get it? Before this, there was something called a dog lock, which didn't have a safety on it. It just it almost looked like a dog head. Before that was a wheel lock, which guess what? That's what lighters use. And there was other types of guns like matchlocks, which are pretty much a giant pan of black powder, and you light a rope and just go, okay. And those are really fun because they spray like liquid black powder all over you. So they've come a far way by this point. And these actually stayed in service, gosh, 17th century until the 19th century, until we have the percussion cap. So these were used for a very long time in the technology of guns, where a lot of the other ones only lasted a small amount. So this guy, as I said, it would sit in your pocket. It's a small caliber. It's a 15.2 caliber, according to this nice engraving on the side. That's adorable. I'm going to load this, and I'm going to show you guys how that works. And don't worry, we're going to go over how to shield your ears. And this one, promise you, won't be too loud because it's tiny. So this is called a paper lady. These were made ahead of time, and they'd be put in barrels and stored separately from the guns. They were filled with black powder. Usually they'd have a ball in them as well. They'd be made out of paper or linen bags. The ones for the cannons typically were bags. And everything would be here. So you would not see them like in the movies pouring black powder down the guns. That's kind of dangerous because you don't know how much black powder you're pouring down, and it could explode in your hands. You know, and as much as it's fun to have a hook hand, it's really not. Because then, you know, you forget and it's your eye, and then suddenly you have an eye patch, and it's all downhill. So with this, that did not give me a good edge at all. There it goes. All right, so I'm going to pour this down. Some of it is going to go into the barrel and some into the pan. I'm going to close this. And one of the big things is when you close this, you have to avoid scraping your knuckle on the flint here, because that's a really good way to cut yourself up. Done it many times. Typically what they would do after they poured this all in is they would wad it. So they'd take this paper lady, what was left, scrunch it up, put it in, and then take your ramrod, which is this little pole, and push it all down. So that way if you take it and hold it down, it will not empty out. We're not going to do that because we want small loads to be on here, so that way we don't accidentally have any misfires or any issues that can be dangerous for us. So the reason why these locks are really advanced is because we have a safety. So this is right now in half cock. It cannot just go off in my hands. So you ever heard the term going off half cocked? That was the predecessor, the dog lock I was just talking about. All right, you guys ready to hear this fire? All right, we're gonna yell together. Ready, aim, fire! That was a cute little pop noise. All right, you guys want to see something a little bigger? Yeah, let's do Queen Anne's next.
So this is height of technology in the 1690s. This is a Queen Anne pistol. Blackbeard carried 6 of these at a time during combat. This one is a muzzle loader, but some were breech loaders. You'd have a special key that would unscrew near the base of the barrel. You take the barrel off, you load it with powder and ball, and then you take the key and screw the barrel back together. So in theory, you could load it faster than, say, a typical muzzle loader. But this is just a plain regular muzzle loading pistol. So you do the honors.
Oh, yep. So this loads in the same way as we were just saying because of the reproduction. Imagine trying to do this in time of battle.
How long does it take to reload, though?
I mean, if you got really good at it, you could do it in 20 seconds each. But, you know, we don't do this all the time.
So after you fired it, you'd have this. See this grotesque on the butt of the pistol. You could turn it around and use it as a defensive weapon if you wanted to. All right. Count down.
All right, ready?
Ready.
Aim.
Aim.
Fire. So what he was talking about with the butt of the pistol, I do want to show our next gun with that. So let's say, actually I'm going to borrow yours to do the demonstration. So let's say you go to fire this and it misfires, right? You grab it and then hit them with that end. So there's actually this butt and they're beautiful. Like, look at that butt. That's a beautiful butt. Okay, so next we have a sea service. So sea service guns, thank you, Vanna, were distributed to the Navy in the 1720s, yes. So these guys, as you can see, has a little clip on the side. They're great. This clip is amazing new technology. You can clip it to you. Do you guys see how, oh, you're not excited, are you? So anyway, you could clip it to your belt if you're climbing the rigging, if you're riding on a horseback, it just attached to you. That's the most exciting technology ever. But the nice thing is that this gun was small, it was portable, and it was a nice thing to have if you were, of course, serving on a vessel.
It also had a slightly longer barrel than, say, the Queen Anne's or the pocket pistol. So in theory, you had a longer range. Longer range being maybe 20 yards.
So think about it this way. These are smooth bore barrels, meaning that they're smooth. So typically if you fire a modern gun, it's rifled, which means there's a little swirly thing in there and the ball gets to spin. So when it goes out, it goes straight. These are more like if you're bowling like, you know, old lady style, where you're going like this. There's no spin put to it, so it just kind of goes off, right? Same thing with the bullet, it's gonna go like that. So you don't have as much of an ability to hit something from far away.
The other thing that we haven't touched on yet is that Flintlocks have about a 70% reliability rate. So far, we haven't had any hang fires or any misfires. So we're doing really, really good, especially in the light drizzle that we have. But again, in case we have to do some maintenance on something, it has a 70% reliability rate.
And that's in perfect weather. So if it's, you know, misty or moist outside, which you're on a pirate ship, you're surrounded by water, it's gonna be kind of moist. Ready? Aim. Fire. See, you jinxed yourself.
Misfire?
So there's a specific process if we do have a misfire. So this, nothing happened. So we're gonna check that pan and make sure that the powder can actually go through the touch hole, they call it, which is that little hole. So as you can see, he's brushing it out, making sure there's no gunk or buildup. Underneath the flint, sometimes gunk will build up too, so we have to clean that. Imagine that happened though, again, while you're in battle. That would be bad. All right, ready, aim, fire. Nope. So in this case, we have a process where if it doesn't go off a certain amount of times, we'll dump it because it's safer for us. There might be a reason why it's misfiring, but there's a lot of things that can go wrong. So nice with piracy is that the majority of crews, if you did get hurt during battle, you might get a larger percentage of the cut, but not all crews did work that way. Not all of them were that nice democracy. All right, so next is gonna be our blunderbuss. So this here is a blunderbuss. It's also known as a Donner barrel. It's Dutch in origin. It's meant thunder barrel. As you can see, it's kind of intimidating. Also known as the deck sweeper was a slang term for it. So it's not flared in the end here because it made everything project out in, you know, a flared way. It actually just makes it easier to load with grape shot, which is fine, grade powder like small bullets, essentially, like little grapes, instead of your usual musket balls. So sometimes in the movies they show like forks and some weird stuff like nails being put in there. They wouldn't have done that because it would have damaged the barrel still. They still liked their guns. Most of the ones from the time period were brass barreled, unlike this one. But this one's an old girl. We've actually had her for a long time. She's a reproduction from the 1980s. So, you know, not that the 80s are old, because that means that I'm old, and that's terrible. But anyway, all right. And this one takes a little bit more black powder than the smaller ones, because as the bigger the gun gets, the more black powder it needs. All right, ready? Okay. Aim. Fire. Ooh, that was a delay. There's that nice smell of sulfur. All right, so now we have some of our long guns. So first, we have this one, which is similar to a ship's carbine. It's a longer gun, so you have a better chance, again, of aiming it. So typically, in order of attack, if you see a pirate ship coming or you're attacking as pirates, cannons are first. You want to try to take down the mast. And if that doesn't work and you're actually getting attacked, then the long guns would come out. So we're actually going the opposite order. The smaller guns would come out after boarding, and you're a lot closer because, well, you can't really aim that far. Now this one has an octagonal barrel. That is not actually uncommon. Depending on the manufacturer of the gun, sometimes they would have octagonal barrels. And I'll go to this side so you guys can see this one fire. All right, ready? Aim, fire. Oh. So again, moisture in the air, it happens. You good? Good. All right, fire. There. Woo. All right, so now we have our fowler.
All right, this is our fowling piece. This is actually some of the short fowling piece. They come up about 6 foot or more, about 70 to 80 caliber usually. And they're usually for bird guns. Go out and hunt geese, any kind of waterfowl. This is a Hudson Valley fowler. It's common up to New York State. Dutch made these. This one's made in Utrecht. And another one. The pirates, they would also use the Buccaneers, the French gun, was also long like this. I actually think the Dutch actually copied the fowlers from these French guns. We'll give this one a shot and see how it goes.
So the fun thing is, if you read about our first Thanksgiving in this country, they actually went a-fowling the day before, meaning they used guns like this to shoot down geese. And geese are pretty common in the region of New England. So most likely the first Thanksgiving dinner was more like geese, maybe even Canada geese. I imagine they don't taste that well. There actually is evidence that they served a dish called succotash, and you can find recipes. It's pretty good. If you visit our website, which is behistorical.com, we actually have a succotash recipe that was documented just after the first Thanksgiving on our website, so you can try it yourself. Good?
Ready.
All right, ready? Aim, fire. Here's that reliability again. Fire. That's true. It's all John's fault because he said something. All right, I don't think we've had a big enough bang yet. You guys got something a little bigger?
Yeah.
All right, let's try the cannon. So this is an 1812 carronade, a U.S. carronade. It is a very small representation of one. It's actually one of our smaller cannons that we have, but unfortunately our big cannons can't fire between the ropes as nicely, and they're very hard to get aboard the ship. So this one is about a 1 pounder or so, or a little less, maybe a half pounder. And the poundage is not to the weight of the actual cannon, it's the weight of the cannonball that goes inside. So this one takes about, how much black powder?
It's about 1/8 of a pound to blank fire demonstration this piece. And it weighs 90 pounds, and it's 5/8 scale of a replica to a 3-pound carronade. Her big sister, we'll say, is about 4 feet long and weighs nearly 400 pounds.
So it's a good workout. Now typically on a ship, these cannons would more be 6 pound, for example, aboard the Witta. There was 10 guns originally on there, and Sam Bellamy had added even more, and I think it was 21 guns when it was all set and when it sank. And the reason why the ship went down so quickly is he piled more cannons in the bilge of the ship. Yay! And they rolled, and that is what some scientists feel happened when the ship went around. But they weighed about 2,000 pounds, these cannons, which is immense, and they were solid. So pretty crazy stuff. There was a few cannons they actually found aboard the ship that were never drilled, meaning that there was no touch hole drilled. So they were never ever used. Now, if you notice, we're all putting on leather gloves. There's a reason. There are 2 materials that exist naturally in the world that are fire retardant. One is leather, the other one is wool. So a lot of sailors wear wool because they'd be less likely to light on fire, and if you get wet, you still stay warm. And that's why you see blacksmiths with leather aprons, leather gloves for loading the cannon, etc. All right, so are you on cannon crew or are you?
I'll step aside.
Okay, you good? All right, so I'm gonna go through the 1750s cannon commands, and I'm gonna explain each one as we go, and then we're gonna do a second firing where we do it quicker without explaining, so I'm just gonna yell the commands and do it like they would. All right, so first command is unapron your piece. This means you're gonna uncover the touch hole. There is typically a leather or lead cover that would sit over that. It would protect it from any debris or anything getting inside while the cannon was not being used. Worm your piece. This would be a cool corkscrew looking thing, as you can see, and it would go down the gun and make sure that there was no debris inside of there between firings. Now, if you notice, he's holding it like this. The reason why is we want to make sure not to blow off any fingers because we kind of like those attached, and it's a safety thing. Wet sponge your piece. So this is a giant Q-tip. The wet end goes down first, and that extinguishes any sparks that may be in the barrel, while the other end, dry sponge your piece, goes down and dries it. And that takes away the wetness that might be in there now so we can actually fire it. If you were firing in between rounds during a battle, you probably would not do the sponging or even the worming. You might just do a quick dry sponge or just a quick wet sponge. All right, receive your cartridge. So at this point, we have a powder monkey. And we went in the future, found this gentleman from World War I. There we go. And he's gonna bring it over. Your black powder would be held far away from the cannons because, again, we don't want to blow up our own ship. And it would be brought over by usually a small child or a smaller sailor because they'd be harder to shoot from the other ship. Ram it till she be home. So at this point, we're going to take the ramrod, and he's going to ram it all the way down to the breech of the gun. It packs it down, built up that pressure. Prick your cartridge. So this, a small brass prick, will be run down the touch hole, pops a hole in that cartridge, and allows the fuse to eventually be put in, or the primer. All right, so receive your primer, which I have right here. Typically, it wouldn't be all one person. There we go.
Yeah,
so,
most cannon crews had 4 or 5 people, but for the demonstration so that everybody can see, we're just doing it with one.
Now, at this time period, most commonly it was pouring the black powder down that touch hole, but there was some instances of lining quills with black powder. Fuses were a later thing, usually in the Civil War. All right, now cannon crew retire. So at this point, the gun is ready to go. So now we can fire it. You guys ready? This one's going to be a little bit louder. All right, we need to push it forward, right?
What's that?
Yes, we got to
Yeah.
run it out.
We just got to make sure we don't light the ship on fire, so we're going to push it forward. You're welcome, Battleship. You got it? Okay. All right, so we're going to have something called a lint stock that's going to be like our giant lighter. You guys ready? Ready? Aim. Fire. All right, you want one more?
Yeah.
Okay, worm your piece. Wet sponge your piece. Dry sponge your piece. Receive your cartridge. Ram it till she be home. Prick your cartridge. Receive your primer. Retire. Ready. Aim. Fire. All right. So if you guys liked what you see, please find us on Facebook. If you follow us, that makes us feel like you like us. We're a nonprofit. We travel all over the country doing shows like this about the Golden Age of piracy and a few other eras. Again, our name is Be Historical. Thank you guys.
So that was Be Historical, firing a number of their that's 17th and 18th century firearms. So some of the forerunners of the battleship era technology. There's a link in the description below if you'd like to learn more about them. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. And there's a link in the description below if you'd like to continue donating to help the museum out. You can also support the museum by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out about our channel. Thanks for watching.